Hello, Houston. This is Elizabeth Miranda, Liz, your bilingual broker with Miranda Properties. And welcome to Casa y Vida Houston. And this is my co-host, Sonia Rivera.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
And we have a very special show today because we are actually simultaneously broadcasting with the Realty Ruckus. So welcome, Alan.
So should I just say it? Welcome
Yes.
to the Realty Ruckus. Not in the White Picket Realty Studios today, but thank you for having us on your show, Liz. I am so excited to be here, and this is the first time we've ever done this. I don't know if people normally do this. I know it's really crazy.
I think this might
for
be
us
the
to-
first time I've ever seen a joint show.
I know.
It's very interesting. I love the idea. It's a great concept.
I love it. Thank you so much. I think this is a great opportunity for us to share with both of our audiences what we do, what we stand for, what we're out there in the community pursuing. And Liz, you have a phenomenal history in the city of Houston. So to be able to share the stage with you, it's really an honor. So thank you.
Well, thank
We
you.
really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. And of course, by the way, we want to introduce also Gibran.
Yes.
And who's
Absolutely.
also with Realty
So,
Ruckus.
so I'll introduce Gibran.
Yes,
He
please.
is my business partner. He's also my brother, and on top of that, he owns a construction company. I mean, this guy has no end to what he does. He's a phenomenal trainer. He handles all of our agent development in our office, and of course, as part of the Realty Ruckus, he's here to help us with having a phenomenal show.
Well, that's
I'm here to
absolutely-
create the ruckus. You guys are too chill right now.
Hey, well, we need a little bit of ruckus. That much we do need. So I'll tell you guys that I invited Alan to the show because, of course, he is running for the board of directors of HAR. And so I said, Alan, I want you to be on the show. And then he's like, well, what time is it? I told him it's on Thursdays at 1. He's like, well, our show's every Thursday at 1:30. And he's like, let me get back to you. Then he came up with this great idea that says, we'll do it together. So I'm like, wow, we need that. We need that excitement.
So I called Liz and I said, hey Liz, I have a crazy idea. I'm going to throw it at you. You can throw it right back if it's too crazy. We're going to do the show together. And she's like, yes.
Yes. Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. So first of all, I think if it's okay with you guys, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that you're running for board of directors of HAR.
Yes.
So we talk a little bit about that first, because of course we do have general of the two audiences, right?
Yeah.
So we do have a lot of realtors listening, so that's what we want to talk to. But we also have the general audience. So so just so whoever's not a realtor that's watching that doesn't know, HAR is the Houston Association of Realtors, and they have elections going on for the board of directors. So Alan Hernandez is running for that position. So Alan, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself and just a little bit about what it is that you're running for.
Wow, how much time do we have?
Okay,
I know,
not
I know
that
we're
much.
short,
Not
we're
that
short on
much.
time today. So I'll keep it really concise
Okay.
and really
On the
short.
clock.
So for everyone that doesn't know me out there, I started this industry as an investor, and that's really what I love because I found financial freedom, or the ability to create that. When you're investing in real estate, you can really turn not just your life around, but the people around you life around. And so one of my missions was to help other people do it, help other people find financial freedom. And as I was going through my ins and outs and hitting some road bumps along the way, of course, I found that not only can you help people achieve home ownership, you can also help them achieve financial freedom. And it really starts with our professionals. It really starts with the realtors. The realtors have to understand that it's not just about closing a transaction and just closing a few per year. No, it's about helping families, and by helping them, by helping them get what they want, you can have everything you want. And while you're doing it, why not, when you retire rich? That's what it should be about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. So you started out as an investor before you became a realtor, or you became a realtor first and then an investor?
I started out as an investor. I did have my license. I've had my license for a long time. But I had my license just to pull comps, right?
Well,
But
I would even say, going back, even before investor officially, it was really just real estate enthusiast. I
Yeah.
mean, you just knew.
mega nerd.
Yeah, I want to be in this industry in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. I just don't know exactly what that looks like.
Absolutely.
You have a really good story about that, actually.
Well, I mean, the story is very long, but when I was in college, I realized really quick that I wasn't in college because I wanted to get a college education
9 to 5.
job.
Yeah.
I was going to graduate. My offers were going to be $25,000-$30,000 a year, and I just thought, why did I spend all this time doing this? I mean, what was the point besides just hanging out with friends and having a good time, right? So while I was there, I read a book. I started door knocking. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, by the way, and then I got into some investment books, and I started door knocking, and before I knew it, I had a sweet little old lady that wanted to sell me her house. Now, mind you, I was a 19-year-old punk kid knocking on people's doors, asking them to sell me their house cash. So imagine, I still don't believe that this sweet little old lady was all there, but I'm so happy that she showed up because she said, I want to sell my house. I don't know what to do. I called an investor. I wrote a contract literally on a napkin, a piece of paper that she had on the table, and I sold that napkin per se to an investor for $1,000. It was the most money I'd ever had in my life, and I was hooked. I knew that if I could do that one time, I could do it thousands of times. And the sweet little lady was so thankful. She sold her house. She got a great offer on it, and the investor was like, "Hey, help me find more." And I just knew it. I knew that there was a lot of value there. As I've grown, I've gotten into really understanding that not only can you do that for that sweet little lady, you can do that for the family. You can do that for the family that just started their life, and now they're saying, I'd like to have a place to live. And I still remember when my family got their first house, and it was a very impactful moment in my life. And I remember walking in and smelling that fresh air and thinking, wow, this is our space. This is our chance to really own something. I remember seeing the tears in my mom's eyes and really seeing how it impacted her, how proud she was of that moment. And all of that has really accumulated to, how can I create that further? Then there's this other issue. We have these disruptors that are coming into our industry, and they're saying, well, we don't need real estate agents. And that's why I'm running for the HAR board, because I think we're needed. I think we need to be there. We need to be able to create not only financial freedom, but also the dream of home ownership, and be that person, be that trusted advisor in every person's fridge, their wallet, the person that they call.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's a very difficult time to be in real estate. I mean, it's an exciting time, but difficult because, like you said, because of all these disruptors that there are on the market. And that's one thing. And then, of course, the other thing is, of course, the market, the way it is. It's so hard to find homes. And yet also at the same time, we've got so many consumers that still don't understand how important it is to own a home.
Exactly.
So many
And that just blows me away. And I keep seeing this argument where people are saying, well, maybe it makes more sense to rent because of the value proposition in renting. Houston is one of those cities where you can rent a $1 million house for $6,000 a month. Your payment is going to be way less. And some people make that argument. But what people forget is the number one way to become a millionaire is through real estate. Yep. And the number one creator of wealth, whether you're a millionaire or not, is your real estate. Most of the people that live in today's day and age, their families were buying their first houses in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and they've built their family wealth through those houses. Yeah. And so that's what we want to see, especially now that really the millennial is coming to the forefront, and we know that part of that is the Hispanic. They're coming to the forefront too. Hispanics, they're really increasing in population, and we want to see them start to create that wealth as well.
I wanted to make 2 points. So one, you said the disruptors about thinking that real estate professionals are not necessary, and I think absolutely they're necessary, because even just looking for another apartment, I've run into different roadblocks and questions, and it's always great to have that representative there for you to be able to advocate for you, as well as take care of any details that you need to know. And the other thing is that I am one of those people that thought it was better to rent because I had a home for so long, and it was so much maintenance and getting my yard cut and all of that drama, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. However, I've lived in an apartment for the last year, and I've been looking for another apartment. However, the more I look, the more I'm thinking that maybe I just need to get either a condo or a townhouse or something that's not as much maintenance. But I was actually wanting to rent because I wanted to just pick up and leave anytime I wanted. So I just again, I realized that it is an investment, so it's a good idea.
And again, I always say you can't pick up and leave if you own a home, because you can rent it out. Yeah. Let somebody else pay your mortgage, right? and then come back. And that's the thing is that a lot of people don't see the importance of buying. And I was one of those people a long time ago. But I can tell you, the people that I sold a home to just in the last 3 or 4 years wow, the difference in the increase of the value of
The
their
equity
homes.
they've built in 4
Equity.
years.
Yes, just last week, I went to go meet with one of my former clients that he bought a house for $90,000 just 4 years ago. The house is worth 130 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
He made a little bit of improvements. It wasn't a bad house because obviously, he got it financed.
Yeah.
He made a little bit of improvements, and it's worth $130,000
Yeah.
now. He wants to
Awesome.
sell it. That's like
It
that's
just blows me
incredible.
away because even in new construction, I have a friend 5 years ago bought a house in a new construction neighborhood. They completed the construction 2 years ago. Now she bought it for 150. It's worth 220 now.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
going, oh my God, you got 70K in equity over 5 years.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah, it didn't used to be. Before it would be that if somebody had just bought their home 2 or 3 years ago and they'd call us if they wanted to sell it, we're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's not enough equity,
Oh, absolutely.
to pay all the closing costs, etc. That's just not the case anymore.
Nope.
No,
You can
now they're
sell.
like, I bought it a couple of years ago. I want to sell it. They can do it.
And
Yeah.
people keep coming here in Houston. Like people keep moving here, so I imagine that there's. A,
Oh, that is true. We have a lot of people
Like
from out of
so-
state moving into Texas.
Yeah.
Well, and there's really interesting because there's a website I like to look at, and I recommend it to anyone out there, the audience. It's called How Money Walks, and it shows you, based off of IRS tax forms, where money is and how that money's moving around. And if you look at that the map, one of the fastest growing places in all of America is Sugar Land. Sugar Land is just blowing up, and money is coming from all over the place, moving to Sugar Land. And if you look at the home prices and where they've been going, Sugar Land has been appreciating faster than any other area in the entire Houston and the Houston metro. So when you say people are coming to Houston and Texas, that couldn't be more true. It's just so many people coming and from all over the country.
I love it when we travel because I know I see you guys at some of the conventions and expos and whatnot, and I love it when we travel and somebody asks, "Are you from Houston?" And my response is always, "No one is from
Is it
Houston.
right? Is
Nobody
anybody from Houston?"
Everybody's from Houston, and nobody's from Houston. It's
Yeah.
crazy how this city works. It's a beautiful city. It's amazing, but it's a city that people come to. They make a life here, and I mean, I hardly meet anybody that's been born, raised, and stays here. It's like either people are born here and go somewhere else, or a lot of the people, most of the people that I meet, they're coming from somewhere else, coming here to
Yep.
start a life and buying a house and investing in real estate. So it's awesome. I love when I see that.
Yes, yes. Well, like I said, I've been in Houston, I think, for 30 years, but, if
Oh
anybody
man,
would
you've
ask,
seen
yeah,
some major changes in Houston then.
yeah.
It's funny
Absolutely.
because I see sometimes people come in from out of town and I'll take them on a tour of Houston, and I've got like this setup tour I do already where I go through the Galleria, and then I wind up in the Heights, and I cut through Montrose. But every time we get to the Heights, people are so blown away. Oh my God, the Heights in Houston's the most amazing place. And I just want to tell them, if you'd looked at it 20 years ago, you'd go, oh my God, the Heights in Houston is one of the scariest neighborhoods in America. And so much of Houston is changing. I mean, you go out to like Emancipation Park. I don't think anyone could have ever imagined that the area by Emancipation Park would become what it is today. You drive through there, 3-story townhomes everywhere. This is a city that just hasn't stopped. And I say that surprised because the floods and the storms and everything else, there's a lot of adversity. There's a lot of overcoming that's had to take place for people to be able to be happy here.
Yeah, and we're still here, and we're still buying. I bought my first flood house.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I should mention that.
For yourself?
For myself. I fell in love with a house. I got an email from someone, and they were like, "Hey, this is a fire sale. It needs to be, not because it caught on fire, it's because it needed to be sold quick." And so I looked at it just randomly, and I sent an email to my wife, and I put hashtag house goals, because it's something that's very hard to find. It's a 1 acre inside the city. It's got a main house and a sub house.
Wow.
And
And when he
It's
says
very hard
sub house,
to
no,
find.
that's really misleading. It has a main house and another main house on it. There just happen to be 2 main house. He told me something. He said in a sub house, and I went. I looked. I go, "Where's the sub
no,
house?"
it's another house
So-
completely.
So it's a dream, your dream home, but it flooded.
But it flooded.
It flooded.
But
Yeah.
you know what? I got such a good deal on that house. I am willing to look past the fact that it flooded. And one of the things that my wife and I are discussing is we're just going to put stilts inside the garage, so in case it does flood, we'll just raise our cars so that at least we
Oh,
don't lose
gotcha.
our
They
cars.
they do sell
Yeah.
those, right?
So we'll raise our cars, and if the house floods, we have flood insurance, and we're in real estate, so what's the big deal? We'll just figure it out. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as you have insurance, really,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it. And that's the thing is that, I mean, it's one thing to buy a home that has flooded many times,
Yeah.
but if it's flooded one time, there's so many homes that had never flooded, in so many areas that had never flooded before, and they did flood this time.
Oh, and
So-
Harvey was just such a rarity. I mean, that was the worst storm literally in the history of the United States. The chances of it happening again are incredibly low.
so one of
Don't
the things
say
that we're
never.
going to talk
Yeah,
about.
I didn't say never.
One of the things that we're going to talk about today are homes that lose value and how that affects us, how that affects not only the sellers, how it affects the buyers when they're buying it, but most importantly, how it affects the brokers, because now we're seeing that there are cases popping up, and I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We're seeing that cases are popping up where now the homeowners who had to price reduce are saying, well, real estate agent, you owe me some money. And real estate agents are looking at each other like, uh-oh, we're in major trouble, because if this starts going through and we actually start seeing some real estate agents go to court and maybe lose some of these court battles with these sellers, this changes the game. This completely makes it to where what happens next time you have to ask for a price reduction from a seller and you're shaking in your boots because if they say yes, they might be able to come back and sue you. So, and how much of that is happening now? I mean, when I look at the neighborhoods right now in Houston, we still have areas like Meyerland who have just not recovered.
At all.
They're just not. They've flooded 2 or 3 times, sometimes some of them more. And some investors have gone in there and they've built houses that should have been built that way to begin with. They're super high. Or
But even some of those still flooded in Harvey. We know an investor lifted his house up 4 feet, and it flooded in Harvey.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-time flood, but it flooded in Harvey. So, I mean, it's pretty bad in some of those areas.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to see what's going to happen, not only with those areas, with the values, and then of course sellers and buyers coming back to us and saying, hey, what's going on here? You said, or maybe you said one thing, but now it's another, and you owe me some dough. So we're gonna talk about that later on the show. But I really wanted to just give everyone a preview because, hey, it's important stuff. This affects our real estate business.
Oh, absolutely.
And where do we go if we do get sued and we lose some money? I guess maybe that's why we have to have E&O insurance. Does E&O insurance cover some of that stuff? I don't know. Anyway. I love the fact that we are getting a chance to share this. I want to take a quick minute to share how we met. Do you remember how we met, Liz?
No. Oh, no. Was it when we met at a restaurant?
Yes. You do remember?
Okay, yeah,
You
that's
do
right. Go
remember.
ahead. Tell the story.
Okay, I know we only have a few minutes to,
Yeah, like 2 minutes
share
before
this
our break.
story, but I remember. So when I was working to become the president of NAREP Houston in 2017, I heard that there were some really tough presidents that I had to go through first. So instead of just calling them one by one, I organized a dinner. And one of the people that I called was Liz, and I said, Liz, would you like to join me for lunch? And of course she agreed. And as I'm walking into the restaurant, I get a call from another previous past president, and she goes, I want you to know that you're walking into the lion's den. You should be afraid, very afraid.
Oh, wow.
But I remember we walked in, we hung out, and we talked about what our plans were for developing that organization. And it was about an hour later, we were having a shot, and I'm not sure. I remember us hugging it out, but I'm not sure if we actually started singing or not. But that's a blurry part of that story.
Yes, and we were taking pictures and friends and everything, and it was just it was great. And I was of course so happy to meet you at that time, because I'm like, this guy is amazing, and I know he's going to do great things for NAREP, because NAREP had been at a place where it needed a boost, and it needed good leadership, and you came in and you stepped up, and wow, I mean it's changed. I mean, from that, when was that? What year was that?
That was 2017. That was last year.
Was it last year?
It was last year.
Okay, wow.
Time
I mean,
flies.
again, well, the difference between then and now is just incredible.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. You have grown it, fantastic. It's just fantastic where it's at. And of course, now of course Ruby, my daughter, is the current president. But I mean, she couldn't be doing what she's doing if it wasn't for you.
And by the way,
You're doing what
everyone
needs to
loves
be.
Ruby. Everyone should say hi to Ruby. Hey, Ruby.
Hey, Ruby.
Everyone loves Ruby. I think I love seeing the fact that you guys as a family are in real estate. And I get this question all the time is, how is it to work with your family? How is it to work with your brother? Because, Gibran and I are business partners. We operate the brokerage together. And, man, it's tough sometimes.
Yes, it is.
But it's so rewarding at other times.
It is,
right?
it is,
We,
it's
we,
fun.
we celebrate the wins together, and then every once in a while we butt heads and we have to threaten each other like we're 5 years old again.
Absolutely.
Talk about how we're going to go to the back and figure it out.
Do we have to go in the back?
Take this
All right,
outside.
well, guys, they're signaling us that we need to take a commercial break.
Okay.
So we will come right back in about a minute or so.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Casa y Vida, hosted along with the Realty Ruckus. We're not in the White Picket Realty Studios today, but we are hanging out with our co-host, Liz. We're here hanging out, talking about real estate, talking about things that affect us in everyday business life. So make sure you tune along, make sure you share this show, and of course, drop all your questions, comments, concerns, love, up, thumbs, you name
Thumbs
it.
up,
We want to hear
angry
it
faces,
down
happy
below.
faces,
We want to
hearts.
hear it. Let us know what you guys think of today's show, and make sure you're sharing it out there with anyone in the real estate industry. So we just got talking a little bit about everything. Why we're doing this, what's going on in the real estate market. We talked a little bit about buying a flood house. We talked, what didn't we talk about? I feel like we even talked
hit
about
the
when
whole
we first met,
gambit.
Liz. So
what-
thank you again for having us. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'm enjoying it. We are enjoying it.
Love the fact that we get a chance to do this for the first time. I really feel like this has never been done before. We're hosting 2 shows together at the same time.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm sure it's not going to be our last.
One of the things that we talked a little bit about previous to the commercial break was what happens when a seller is unhappy that he had to take a price drop and then says, hey, agent, I think you owe me some money. And now there's a potential lawsuit. Now, that's like the word that nobody ever wants to hear when they're in real estate, right?
or
Because
in any business.
In any business.
Yeah, the word
Business.
lawsuit is
Yeah,
ugly.
lawsuit.
it's
Absolutely.
it's horrible. Now look, if you're playing the big game, and we talk about playing the big game all the time in our office, we always want to be playing the big game. And playing the big game means you're not playing it small. You're doing everything you can to play at a high producing level. However, when you play the big game, every once in a while you make a mistake. Every once in a while there's some issues that happen because you're human, right? And that's why we have to have insurance in place, and that's why we have brokers who step in and take responsibility for things, of course. Now, what happens when we get that call and that call says, hey, we're looking at some litigation? Has that ever happened to you in the past, Liz?
No. Fortunately, it hasn't. I think that, like anyone else, I've made mistakes. My agents have made mistakes. But if it's small, under $1,000, no big deal.
Yeah.
And that's what happened when an agent comes to me and they're panicked. I mean, what is it? And they say, oh, well, this is okay. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistake. If it's a mistake that can be fixed, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If it's something that's going to cost a little bit of money, it's not a big deal. For example, I had one myself earlier this year where a home warranty was not ordered. And it was my file, but it wasn't a big deal. And the reason was because I'm used to having my title company or my lender order the home warranty, and so I just took it for granted it was ordered. Well, it wasn't ordered, and everybody's like, oh, I thought the title company ordered it. So I was like, well, I saw it on the contract, but I never got an invoice, so we didn't do it. I'm like, it's on the contract. So I recognized that ultimately it was my responsibility. It was my thing, and so I paid for the home warranty. And I even did call the other agent, and their agent's like, no, we're not, we can't do it. And then after I realized it and everything, I said, well, they can't do it because it's not on the HUD, or the settlement statement. It can't be done.
Yeah.
Right? They'd have to revise the settlement statement, all that kind of stuff. So really, legally, they couldn't pay for it.
Right.
It was my responsibility. Either the client pays or I pay. I paid it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. When it's something small like that, it's not a big deal. Now, if it's something big, yeah, I certainly would be worried about it. So far, it hasn't happened. But yes, as a broker, owner of a company, you're always worried about that.
Absolutely. That is one of the biggest concerns when you're taking in an agent is what is their liability risk with this agent? Is this the type of person that's going to go out there and misrepresent what you stand for and not fulfill their fiduciary duty? Is this person going to cost me more money than they're ever going to make? I mean, those are all things that as a broker owner you have to really take into just thought and wage if you're going to be able to take someone. Now, in this case, I'm pretty sure the broker owner didn't think this was going to happen. So, BB, tell us a little bit about what's going on with this.
So, and this is just my question. Both of you are real estate brokers, and the real question is, at what point have you gone too far with the line of bring me an offer, bring any offer, and disclose too much information about the fact that the seller's motivated to sell? Because in Colorado, what happened is the listing agent is being accused of releasing information to another buyer's agent in their own office and saying, this person's motivated and they'd probably be willing to take this price. And of course, the seller did take that price, but it also cost them $500,000. And when they found out that it might have been released through the selling agent, they said, wait a minute, you disclosed something that cost me $500,000, you owe me $500,000. And the reason I bring that up is because agents are really guilty about, I have a very motivated seller, bring me any offer, and at what point are you saying too much? Are you basically saying, I know that what I listed it for is completely unrealistic, bring me something lower because the seller is willing to accept it, and is the seller okay with that? So how would you handle that and make sure that you're not in liability by saying those kinds of things?
It is so difficult to make sure that your agents aren't going out there and saying the wrong thing. I mean, it's so hard to micromanage people, especially because they're 1099. Most of the agents are self-employed, per se, right? And in their thought process, and I mean, I remember because I was there at one point, it's, I'm my own boss. I just happen to work with this company. But what they don't realize is they are representing the broker, right? An agent is an agent for the broker, and what they say and what they do ultimately comes back to the broker. Now, how much are you allowed to tell about your client's situation? I would say if it's going to hurt your client in any way, you're not allowed to say anything. I mean, you're supposed to be there to represent your client's best interest. If saying something like, hey, my client is willing to take a $50,000 shave or a $500,000 shave in this case, then I think you probably violate your fiduciary duty to them. Yeah. I mean, that's my thought process. What do you think?
I agree. If that first agent no longer represented that seller, right, and they told that information to another agent, even if it's in their office, they shouldn't have done that. You owe a fiduciary duty to that person, even when you no longer represent them.
Now, what if that agent had just said, look, they're really motivated, so send in whatever offer you want? Would that have been okay?
Well, honestly, I see that all the time on MLS.
And that's why I asked it, because you see it everywhere. I would never put that.
When I see that, to me, that's telling me they're desperate.
Yeah. Don't send in a full price. Send in something lower. Yeah.
Get them in the shorts.
I will say, and I will even tell my client, well, hey, this person says, the other agent says that they're very motivated. That tells me, we can submit a lower offer.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that agents shouldn't put that on there. I mean, unless they really unless first of all, unless the client has authorized you, because the client has to authorize you to do that. If the client authorizes you to say that, well, then it's okay. But if not, no.
And how would you get that? Because I know that, like in a standard listing agreement, there's not a line that says, very motivated. Tell everybody.
You know what? I'm thinking that there is a place.
Oh, really?
I think
okay.
That there is a place where you can put that the client authorizes you to put. I have to say
certain words, maybe.
There's certain words,
okay.
and certainly if not, there's certainly blanks where you can add that in there, where the client is authorizing you to stress that they're very motivated.
Yeah, and that would make sense. Yeah.
I think if you have it in writing, that's where you can go out and really publicize it that way.
Yeah.
You can say it's okay to do this. If you had a conversation with the client and the client's telling you, look, I need you to tell people that just send me an offer, obviously you want to do that. You want to take advantage and you really want to help them because that's what they're asking you to do. So go out there and promote it that way. The other thing that I think is important is once you have a listing up, sending that full listing sheet, just like a screenshot of it or a PDF version if you can print one out, sending it to that client and saying, hey, am I approved to put this out? Are you okay with the verbiage? A lot of times that gets you out of a lot of trouble, because sometimes you may throw something in there that they just really dislike. And sometimes if they come back and maybe let's say you put those words in there, but if they come back and say, yeah, everything looks fine to me, I like it, that may give you a little bit of an out later if they try to sue you, because now they've allowed you by responding to that email that they were okay to the way that was posted in that email. I mean, that's something I would consider doing. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely. I always say get signatures for everything, right?
You have to have it in writing. I think the verbal is where you get in trouble, because anybody can say, no, I didn't say that. What are you talking about? So, yeah, definitely get it in writing.
Yeah, just in fact, just last week I had Ruby, my daughter, was on vacation, and of course she's with a different company, and so she was on vacation. They couldn't get a hold of her because she was on a road trip, and one of her agents called me to ask me something, and the bottom line is that it was the day before closing, and the other agent on the other side was said, well, you know that I meant this, you know that what we agreed to is this, and but the amendment said a different thing. So I told the agent, I told Ruby's agent, send me the amendment.
Yeah.
And because they were asking me for my opinion, my advice, and so because she couldn't get a hold of Ruby, and I looked, I said, what's in writing? That's the bottom line. She goes, but because we said this, I said, it doesn't matter what your conversations were. Doesn't matter at this point. What is in writing?
Yeah.
What is in that amendment? Is this your understanding? It's in the amendment. That's it. What's in writing is what counts. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. You know, one of the hardest things we've ever had to do internally in the office is when there is a conversation over a transaction and it changes anything that you've agreed to, go ahead and follow it up with an email saying, this is what we discussed. Let me know if I missed anything. And a lot of times, so many cases, people try to come back and say, well, no, I said this or I thought that, and you just go back to that email and say, wait, I sent you this email and you responded, then you said that, yeah, everything was right, so, where did we go wrong, but it's a habit that you have to build up to, and it really keeps you from getting in trouble later once you start doing that. And that goes with clients as well as agents and as well as anybody in the transaction.
Yeah.
Well, and so many people don't necessarily read their emails. They just kind of scan through it and don't read the entire email. So I would imagine that's something that gets people in trouble as well.
That's very true. But one of the things that we have found in the last, it's probably been longer than the last few years, but one of the things that we have seen is that an email is admissible in court.
Yeah,
so if you say I agree to whatever terms in email,
Sure.
that's admissible. That is now something that a judge will look at and consider as part of a contract,
Right,
part of
sure.
an agreement.
Sure.
So you got to be real careful. If you don't read your emails, but you respond, yeah, I agree. you might have just sold your soul or something. I don't know.
You should have been responsible enough to read it, especially something like that. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So.
But I think that the bottom line is that it also comes to education. As far as the realtors, I think that we have so many realtors coming into the industry. It's like 37,000. I remember when it was 27,000 not that long ago. So
you guys thought it was a lot of people, right?
I thought that was a lot of people. Now it's like
Like
27. It's like wow, and I don't see how these big brokerages do it. They've got so many people.
So much liability.
So much liability.
So much.
I come from a legal background. I was a paralegal for 20 more than that, years. And so to me, it's all about having it in writing, about following the rules, and that's how I am about with my agents also. It drives me crazy when they say, I just want somewhere to hang my license. No, you're not going to just hang your license with me.
Broker's worst nightmare there.
No, because there's a lot, and they have to understand, yes, they're independent contractors, but there's just so much liability. They have to follow. They have to follow laws. They have to follow rules. They got to put everything in writing. And this is the reason why why we tell them certain things, because yes, people get a lawsuit crazy. And
it's crazy because considering how many bad agents are out there, and I know there's a lot because I deal with them on a daily basis, you would expect to see a lot more TREC complaints.
Yeah.
And most of the TREC complaints don't deal with that. They have to deal with advertising and other issues that agents have. But clients, I think, a lot of times just get frustrated. And, I'm just going to fire this person. They're incompetent. rather than actually go after them as an agent. And sometimes I wonder, would that help clean up the industry a little bit if we got some of those people that just want to hang their license out of the industry? Not so many of those people that are actually serious about doing real estate, about being a good real estate agent.
But I think that goes back to lack of education. I think so many homeowners, the sellers, they don't understand what they're able to do, what they're protected from, what they're, who they're protected from, and they don't know how to follow through if they do have a complaint about something. They don't know who to complain to or what kind of complaints are valid complaints, and so I think that requires some education of the homeowners.
Yeah, well,
That
of
makes
course, we
a lot
don't
of
want them to
sense, yeah.
file complaints.
No,
We're not saying that at all.
Not against us.
Right. But what we want is we want the professional, the real estate professional,
Absolutely.
to be educated, to know what they're doing, because in the long run, honestly, we're the ones that have to protect the consumers.
Yeah.
No
That's
doubt
what
about
it
it.
comes
But I think that's what Jabron was saying, is not enough people really do it with that mentality. Not enough people really come in and say, hey, I have to help this person. I have to protect this person. There's too many people that are just doing it because it's a side hustle or a side business or something that they'll do on the weekend, or something that they just got a license because they're going to represent their friend on buying their first home. And you're like, dude, your friend is buying the most expensive purchase, the most expensive investment of their life. You've never done this before, and you're going to somehow help them through it? And you're never going to do anything else. You're just going to hang your license somewhere. And so, there's a lot of breaks, in my opinion, in the system. And yet, I think it starts with education. It goes into the purpose and the why real estate agents do it. It starts maybe even with how easy it is to get your license. That's
How easy it is to keep your license, because I am a strong advocate for there being some production standards to keeping your active license, because I would never trust an attorney ever that tells me that he writes one contract a year.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, I don't care how cheap you are.
Yeah.
You might be $80 an hour and compared to $250 an hour, but you do this once a year? I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
No thanks.
But
Yeah.
there's tons of real estate agents that do 0 to 1 transactions a year, but continue to keep their license.
Yeah.
So I think that's one big problem that we have, is there's no production standards. There's only, are you doing the MCE hours? But anyone who's in real estate knows you don't learn much at those MCEs. You don't learn how to be a good agent. You just learn how to not break the law, basically.
I'm going to tell you guys why, though. We only have 1 minute. I know that. I'm going to tell you guys why, and I know that a lot of people may not like this because it's, something that people don't like to hear. It starts with NAR. It just is.
Yeah.
Why? Because NAR is collecting dues from us, right? They're collecting all of our money and they're putting it into this big giant bank account and not using it to really help improve the industry. And it creates these giant holes in the industry where other companies, other disruptor type companies say, well, the agents aren't really doing their job, so why don't we do it for them? Let's just push them out of the way. And we're looking at each other like, hey, NAR, I thought you were supposed to take up for us, man. I thought you were supposed to fight for us and help us be there, be that person. And they're just looking at us like, no, we just need more dues. So I think that's part of the problem overall in the industry. Overall, it's we need better leadership. We need people to actually help educate. But it really, like everything else, like our companies, like with our agents, it starts from the top.
Yeah.
And what about HAR? I mean, I know you say NAR, but how do you think that HAR can help?
I love HAR, by the way. I'm a huge advocate, not just because I'm running for the board, by the way. I'm not just saying. I love HAR, and this is one of the reasons why I decided to run, is because they're fighters. They stand for us. They're willing to put their face out there and say, you know what? We disagree with you, NAR. We don't like what you're doing with us. Now, mind you, NAR is huge.
NAR is a monster.
They're like the Goliath, with HAR being David. So imagine, if you get somebody that's throwing a rock at you, you get a little bit ticked off. And I think we saw a little bit of that earlier this year, and I loved every bit of it, because sometimes it just takes that one person to stand up and say, you know what, I disagree, respectfully, but I disagree. And we need that. We need more of that. So HAR, my opinion, they're doing awesome. By the way, one of the only boards in the United States that is ranked above Zillow. And you know how much that helps us in this industry, in Houston specifically?
MLS boards. Yeah.
MLS boards, that is ranked above Zillow. Why? Because Zillow, normally, what do? They take our leads and they sell them to us. HAR says, here you go. I just found somebody that wants to buy your house. That's awesome. That's amazing. That's why we need to be supporting and pouring everything that we have into organizations that are really going out there and helping us, because they're putting us in the right place. They're helping us keep our industry alive.
Yeah, I have to admit that HAR is amazing. I mean, compared to other boards, because they have just so many tools for the agents.
Yeah.
So many tools that many people don't use, don't take advantage of them. They have more tools coming out. But that is true, because that is one of the most upsetting things for me as an agent is Zillow. I mean, people like that, right? So, but that is true, that the fact that when you Google homes, you're going to see HAR up there.
Yep.
With Zillow, right? And even before Zillow, many times, that is just incredible. So definitely, I think that HAR is doing a lot for the city, and they can do more. And I sure hope that we can see you on there, Alan. And I know
That'd
you're
be
gonna do some
awesome,
more.
guys. And thank you for the support, by the way. I really appreciate it. I saw that you guys voted, and you're encouraging other people to vote. That is phenomenal. I have some amazing adversaries this year. I mean, some real competition. These are people that are tenured. They know what they're doing. They've done it twice and 3 times, and some of them have done it like 40 times. And I applaud all of them, and we love what they stand for in the community as well. The only thing that we want to make sure is that whoever gets on these positions, whoever gets on the board, they're fighting for us, not just because they want to fight for their own benefit.
Yeah, and one thing I'll just throw out there before, I think we're getting close to the end here, but
They gave us a little bit more time.
Yeah, those of you who want to vote, voting ends Monday at 5 p.m. But if you want to vote, go right now in your email, whatever email you have registered with HAR,
With Trek.
with Trek, and search Big Pulse. That's BIGPULSE, all one word. Look that up and you'll find your voting registration. You click that link and it takes you straight to your voting page. I can't send a link. We can't send a link. No one else can send a link. You have to find a link from Big Pulse. And if you lost the link, then what you want to do is reach out to HAR and say, I lost my link. Can you resend
Yeah,
it?
because a lot of times, in most cases, it goes directly
To
into your
spam.
spam box.
Yeah.
And this is really, really frustrating. There's 37,000 of us, 37 realtors out there. Only 2,500 voted last year. It's insane how few actually voted, but I think it's actually because we just flat out don't know. Those emails come from a weird company. They don't come from HAR. It comes from Big Pulse, and a lot of times they go straight into our spam box. So who checks their spam box?
If you have a Gmail, it probably is in your updates, because I know mine was in my updates.
Huh.
And honestly, I mean, I'm so busy. I get so many emails. I don't have time to go through. You've got the different tabs, the
Yeah.
updates, the social. I don't have time for that. If it wasn't that I knew you and I knew that you were running, if I didn't know you were running, I wouldn't have looked for it. I actually looked for it.
Yeah.
So guys, it's important that if you've got Gmail, it's going to be in your updates, and if not, go to your search bar and search for Big Pulse. And find Alan, and then of course what is the category that you're running?
So
under?
we're running for large firms this year, and we're feeling confident. We're feeling strong right now, but we still need a lot of support to really make sure that we got it this year. And of course, once we do, we're gonna have a celebration. We'd love to invite you guys to come on out,
Yay.
hang out with us, celebrate with us.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing I'm going to say is, if you feel like, oh no, they've got it, they don't need my vote. No, we
No.
need every
We
single
need
vote.
every vote.
We would rather win by extra
Yes.
votes than lose by a few.
Exactly.
Last year, we were only 53 votes behind.
Yes.
Had we kept the foot on the gas through the entire election, we probably would have beat that.
Yep.
Okay, so we know we have at least 53 realtors watching. Realtors, you're out there watching. Vote right now. In fact, just stop what you're doing. We'll let you stop watching the show. Go and vote right now.
And remind your friends. Make sure to remind your
Oh
your
yes,
realtor
absolutely, and please, remind your friends, share it on Facebook, nonstop, today and tomorrow. Because even though it's till Monday, I know that after on the weekend, no one's going to do it.
After Friday, we're all done. So
Yeah.
let's just knock it out today, tomorrow, and call it a day. Hey, by the way, we always like to talk about some of the events that we have coming up. What do you guys have coming up?
We don't have any events coming up.
Okay.
Oh, you've got NHPO.
Very
NHPO is coming
cool.
up next Wednesday. NHPO Houston. It's going to be at Little Napoli, 6 to 9 p.m. And then the following day, Thursday, NHPO Fort Bend is also meeting. And you'll have to check on the website, on the webpage, to find out what the location is.
I love what NHPO is doing, by the way. If you guys haven't looked into the organization, phenomenal place to really grow your business. So really appreciate that. Any last minute events that we can throw out
We've
there?
got our summit on Monday. We're doing a big Top Golf team building event, and then big one is August the 13th. You want to get registered for
14th.
that? 14th, sorry. ASAP. I'm so glad you always fix me on the dates. On August the 14th, we have the St. Arnold's Happy Hour, biggest real estate happy hour in Houston. We'll have about 400 real estate professionals there. We'll pack out the room. You'll get to meet a lot of good people, expand your business, and VIP tickets are still available for that.
Can I get you guys 2 VIP tickets?
Absolutely.
I would
Yeah.
love to have
That's
you guys.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for doing this show with us. We really appreciate it.
Good
It's
luck.
been
Just
fun.
let
Thank
us
you.
know when you guys want to do it again. And if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure that you're sharing it out there. Again, thank you for joining us on Casa y Vida, as well as the Realty Ruckus for the first time joining together. We'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Take
Bye-bye.
Anterior fue un programa pagado y las opiniones emitidas en el mismo no representan la opinión de CBBA Radio ni